Today we're making apple crisp. The first portion is to core your apples. Then peel each apple. Don't cut yourself. That's usually what I do. Split them in half once again, and then in half once more so that they're thin and they cook more quickly. Turn the oven to 350 degrees and preheat.
Yeah.
Put your burner on a medium heat, about 5 for my stove. While that's heating up, chunk your butter up so it'll melt a bit more quickly. You're using 1 cup of butter. Stir your butter and kind of keep a close eye on it. You don't want burnt butter, just melted butter. That's all we're looking for.
Okay, the next part is not exactly scientific or can I write it down, but you started with a cup of butter and now we're going to add a cup of flour and stir that. And then I'm going to add a cup of sugar, and that's when you start looking for the right texture, which is hard to define. So stirring in the flour, stirring in the flour, stirring in the flour. And now I'm going to add a cup of sugar because I want equal amounts of flour and sugar. And it starts to get this kind of cool crumbly texture. So you can see it looks like it might make a crumble on top. And this is when you kind of have to just start adding equal amounts of flour and sugar until it gets very crumbly, because right now I couldn't pick this up and crumble it onto my apples. And now I've turned the heat off and I can just start adding a smaller but equal amount. So I reduced down to a 1/3 cup measuring cup, and I'm just going to start adding equal amounts of both flour and sugar. And this one should get me to that nice kind of crumbly part. And it's important not to overdo the flour or the sugar at this point, because if you go too far, you can't go back. Now see, it's starting to get a nice crumbly look. It's going to start breaking up into smaller balls, and that's really where I want it. I'm not quite there yet, though, so I'm going to add a little more flour, a little more sugar. So a little bit more flour, but I need to be pretty careful at this stage. Just keep it in equal numbers. Now see, it's starting to get a nice crumbly look. It's going to start breaking up into smaller balls, and that's really where I want it. I'm not quite there yet, though, so I'm going to add a little more flour, a little more sugar. Now it's getting there. Now I can definitely pick that up and crumble it over. And this is a secret my mom told me, and it maybe isn't so wonderfully healthy, but you can't have sweet unless you have salt, so I'm going to put in just a pinch of salt. So this is the pinch of salt, and I just do it like this, kind of sprinkle it around. I think maybe a little bit more. And then I'm going to throw that salt away because it was too much. And then stir that salt in. And that's a good crisp for the top of our apple crisp.
You're on.
Now I'm just going to crumble the crumble on top of the apples. Notice that we filled that pan pretty full of apples. You don't have to grease it because it's got apples. You can already smell it. This is really what it looks like when it's done. Enjoy.